Whether you want to save a letter combination or maybe your favorite stitch that you've altered the width and length and it's one you always are altering, I'm going to show you how you can save it in the Husqvarna Viking Brilliance 75Q and then how to retrieve it. Where does it actually go? We are working on all the free video tutorials for the Husqvarna Viking machine, and you can find the link to every video that we have done in the description below. You can start binge watching them from the beginning and learn every corner of this machine. So we've actually just been playing around with some lettering. I've actually increased the size of the word Viking, and I kind of like it. Now I want to actually save it. So what we want to do, have you noticed this little heart hanging out over here on the side of the machine below the question mark? Start by touching the heart. It says on screen, to save stitch, touch any free position. Touch an occupied position to replace that stitch. And you have 1 through 24. So I'm seeing 6. There's 12, 18, 24. You actually have 24 different spaces you could save items in. Now, I know people have asked me like how many stitches you can save, and I know it's quite a few. I don't think I've ever put too much in a memory, just one memory, but if I did, I could always divide it up and then put 1 and 1 and 1 in a second one. So just note that however long your line is, I'm sure you won't max it out. I've had it on some machines where it's 30 and on some machines it's more. So without me taking time to find out, honestly, most of what you're probably going to put in is not going to be more than it can handle. So let's just go ahead, and it says my stitches. Menu U, we're going to come back to that. So I'm going to go ahead, touch number 1, and then give it a second. It will appear, or a portion of it will appear in the screen. Touch the check mark. And let's go ahead and get out of this. Let's go back to like normal stitching. Just pick a straight stitch. It's kind of like you've come back the next day. So where do our stitches get saved and how do we find them? So when you touch and hold the top tab, the red one, have you noticed when you scroll all the way down, you've got menus A, B, C, and then as we keep going, and O, P, Q, R, I know, right? S, T, U. You, think of you. This is your memory, and it has the heart on it. So this, when you touch it, will be all 24 spaces, if you've used them, your stitches ready at your fingertips to use. So if I just touch this, it's going to pull it up, and I'm ready to stitch. So that is how we find them. Another way to do it is to go up to menu, touch the zigzag, and you'll also be brought up where you can see all the lettered menus, and then you can find it there. Okay, I will show you how to delete it as well, but I want to show you something I do use it for quite a bit. So let's just take a stitch, and let's do, you know what, I'm going to just pick any stitch. And let's just say this is a stitch that I always sew maybe a little bit more petite when I sew it. Okay, so this is my favorite way of sewing this stitch. So instead of me having a little sticky note with these settings, so I always remember how to get it back to the way I like it, I could just take this stitch that I love. So especially if you have a stitch you've stitched out for your stitch book and you've noticed, gosh, I really like that one. I don't want to forget that that's the stitch that I have fallen in love with today. Is you can go ahead with the settings shown, or just as the default that it is, you can kind of create your own custom menu. So let's just save this one. I got a heart, and it says to save stitch, touch any free position. Here we go. Number 2, give it a second. But that stitch went in with my settings. So that is one thing that I could do. Let me say I have another stitch that I'm always looking for. Maybe it's the blanket stitch. And maybe on this stitch, I'm always making it a little bigger. So again, that's my favorite way to use this stitch. I'm just making it up. So it can be whatever you like. Let's do a heart, and let's touch an empty space and touch the check mark. Okay, so let's say tomorrow when I turn my machine on, I just need to sew out a couple things that are with my favorite decorative stitch, and I'm doing some applique. So what you can do is you can go all the way down, and your menu your menu U, you can just sew from this. This is going to be your menu. So I can go from that stitch, to the word Viking, back to that stitch. Maybe I might put a straight stitch in here. So all I have to do is go all the way around to the stitches I'm using for a project. So I've often had students put in 3 or 4 stitches that they're working with, so they don't have to keep jumping around from screen to screen and then putting them back to the settings that they liked. They can just kind of build their own personal menu, and you can save them. So how do we delete a stitch? If you touch the trash can, nothing happens. What we need to do is go back to the heart. From this menu, if you touch the trash can and touch a stitch, it will ask if you want to delete it, and then you can say yes or no. So see how I can go in, touch the trash can first, kind of shows delete is activated, touch any position to clear, so I can come in here, delete out the stitch that I no longer need, and I'm going to just do it the one last time. I'm going to delete out that one as well. So you can customize, you can add, you subtract, and you can bring in or save some of your stitches at your favorite settings into the wonderful menu U.